nice to have you all. Happy Wednesday. We're getting to the end of April. I can't believe it. This is actually our last class in April. So that's crazy to think about, but yeah, so we'll be moving onward in May and changing things up just a little bit. Do I have any requests in particular for this evening's class? Anything that someone would like to emphasize? Shoulder, is it a neck and shoulders? That has been the go-to the last several weeks. Everyone's neck and shoulders are talking to them. Anything else we got in particular?
Backs and the usual.
Okay. All right, well, let's get started. We're all here to do something good for ourselves, to fill up our cups, recharge our batteries, clean things out, whatever it is. You know, it's a daily practice. We call it a practice for a reason because every day is different. And we just come to the table as we are. We fill ourselves up with gratitude for just being able to get here tonight. That sometimes is the hardest part of our practice. We bring our qualities of Santosha here this evening. So that means contentment and really, truly being content wherever we are. And practicing that quality of ahimsa or nonviolence. And we often think about that towards our neighbor and each other, but it also applies to ourselves and our bodies. So let's get started. I'm going to mute you all right now. But at any time, you are welcome to unmute yourself if you have a question or a comment. If you're new to Zoom, along the bottom of your little Zoom window, there is a little message box that says chat, so you can chat me a private message. Sometimes there's an option in there to chat a message to everyone, and you have to click a down arrow to select me in particular. I'm not sure how it's set up, to be honest, but you're welcome to do that as well. So this evening, we've been starting our evening classes in a gentle, supportive inversion of some sort. I'll go over some of the props I'd like us to have. You don't need to have yoga props tonight. If you do have them and you've been coming to class, you know what you want to have next to your mat. If you're not sure this evening, let me move that direction and get us there. So just household items will suffice. So if you have some type of throw blanket, I would like you to have one of those nearby. A pillow, couple pillows, couple cushions. Now I have this little folding chair and I'm going to use this as an example. You don't need a chair. You may be near a piece of furniture. You may be near a wall. I'm going to take my pillow and put it at a diagonal, and this is where my legs are eventually going to end up. If you do have yoga blocks, have those handy. If you have a yoga strap, we may or may not get to that tonight, have that handy. If you don't have a yoga strap, a dog leash works perfectly. They're made out of pretty much the same material. Or if you have a scarf around, you can have that nearby. Like I said, we don't always use all the props every class, but it's nice to have them nearby just in case. Other small cushions or pillows. And just a regular old bath towel is nice to have because we can also use this, folding it up and using that as a prop of some sort as well. So tonight, your inversion, basically what I just like you to do is to elevate the legs somewhat. So even if you're lying flat on the ground, you can take a couple pillows underneath your legs, and you can bring yourself down on the ground there. I would like the feet to be up a little higher than the rest of the body. So if you need to grab an extra cushion off the sofa to do that, please do so. If you're near a wall and you'd like to go up legs up the wall or waterfall pose, you're welcome to do that. This is going to be our opening pose where we start to reconnect to our body and our breath this evening. So we'll be here for probably a good 5 minutes or so. I'm going to give us a secondary option to add a heart opener. So this will help counter the rounding and hunching and the sitting we do. Some of us, me included, spend most of our day sitting in front of a laptop or a computer. And so to help decompress that rounding, the spine, and just allow our heart to be open this evening. Adding a little lift behind our back will help. So besides elevating the feet and the legs, if you want, we'll add an additional option here. And what I'm going to do is take my blanket that I've already folded twice, so I've ended up in this longer rectangular shape. And I'm going to take this blanket and I'm going to tri-fold it. So I'm going to fold it over itself 3 times. So I'm going to bring it over and over. So I end up with a nice long rectangular shape that's just 1 inch or 2 in length. And I'm going to take this to the back of my mat that is going to end up supporting my back and my head. We don't need to have this. You might just have cushion behind the head tonight. If a blanket, you don't have it, it's a little big, just take your bath towel. I folded my bath towel once, long ways, short ends come together, little smaller of a rectangle, and then one more time. So I end up with a little rectangle. Same thing, I would put that back to the back of my mat. So my position, I want our low backs grounded. We'll ease our way into this. And I experimented this with the other day. I think my pillow is getting a little soft on me. It worked out a little bit better. I'm going to scooch it in. I'm just bringing myself in position so that my legs are kind of at a 45, and I'm in a little higher position of an inversion here. And I need to adjust my blanket and bring it down because I really want a little bit more heart opening and lifting tonight. Another option here with the arms to give us even more of that opening to the chest and heart is to cactus our arms. So if we have a longer rectangular along the length of our spine, I'm going to open my elbows out from my shoulders, elbows are bent, and then let the backs of my hands flop to the floor. Now I can immediately feel a stretch to the front of my shoulders here because I have been sitting at a computer all day and it feels quite nice. If we come into this position and our hands are hovering in air, that's really typical, especially due to tight muscles here in the front. So we can just take a couple deep breaths. And maybe after a few breaths, gravity works as our friend, helping to traction those muscles out. And the backs of the hands can get a little heavier, sinking towards the ground. So I hope we've all found a comfortable position. If you're still working at it, give yourself another moment. And then once we're in our position, if you need to loosen things up in the clothing, if we need to adjust any ponytails back there, do so. Rock the head side to side, releasing the neck. Poof the cheeks up with air, stick out the tongue, yawn, whatever we need to do to help release tension around the mouth, tongue, and jaw. And then we'll close those eyes. And we'll all take a slow, deep breath in and out through the nose. And as we exhale, feel any tension, stress we've been carrying around from our day just melt away. Let's do that one more time. Inhale through the nose. Fill our bodies up tonight as we prepare for our practice. And nice big exhale out through the mouth or the nose, whatever feels most natural. Feel a sense of relaxation and release come over the whole body. And then let's start to reconnect to our body. Mentally scanning our body from the top to the bottom, front to back, side to side. Go through all the points of the body and continue to relax the muscles, soothe the nerves, loosen the joints. Let a quality of heaviness come over the body. Allow the body to sink into the ground and to be supported by the earth and the ground below. Nothing to do here, just simply let go. If we did come across any areas that we're healing this evening, let's pause in those areas and send a healing breath into them, whether that's on a physical, mental, or emotional level. And allow those areas to feel at peace and relaxed. Remembering that we're all here for different reasons. Our yoga accommodates each of us. And we always have permission to modify and adjust accordingly. And now let's come back to the rhythm of our breath. Setting up a nice connection here between ourselves and our breath. Observing and watching the body breathe. On those inhales, filling ourselves up with some fresh air, prana, and energy. On those exhales, feeling that sense of letting go. Exhaling away stale old air and energy. On our inhales, we might notice that natural expansion that happens in the body. Belly expands, rib cage expands, maybe the chest rises side to side and to the back. And on the exhale, a natural contraction happens. The belly falls, the ribs come a little bit more closely together, and the chest softens. So we'll spend just another moment here with our breath, allowing that breath to grow as deeply as it wants, and just trying to breathe as smoothly and evenly as possible as we can through the nose. And as we do that, I'm going to share another passage from the Upanishads. And it says, "Just as a mirror shines bright once it has been cleaned of dust, so those who have seen the self shine in mind and body. They are always and forever filled with happiness." So our yoga practice is an opportunity to dust ourselves off, to clean ourselves out, and to feel happy from within. Allow ourselves to shine throughout our practice, and allowing our practice to be a moving meditation. So let's all cycle through one more round of breath. This breath, we can try to make our biggest breath of our day yet. On our next inhale, really filling ourselves up, just like pouring water into a cup. Fill the body up completely and all the way up to the brim. And at the very top, once we're completely full, gently, slowly start to release that breath out. And we can try to make this exhale our biggest breath out of our day. So maybe putting a little bit more concentration into this exhale, a little bit more contraction. A gentle engagement of the abdominal muscles will help expel all that air out, emptying, emptying, emptying. And when there's no air left to exhale, slowly and gently, let go of trying to control or follow the breath. It will wander away wherever it wants to go. We'll come back to our physical body. And first, let's just feel the contact points with our body and the floor, the mats, the props. And then we'll start to wake the body up, giving our toes a wiggle, the fingertips. Again, a gentle rock of the head side to side to help release the neck. So we're all a little different of a position, and that's great. So we'll just have to be mindful of how we move. Some of us will be able to continue to extend our arms at this point, so continue to reach them overhead. If you're a little higher up on a prop under the back, just be careful of how that affects the shoulders, but reach and extend through those fingertips to the wall behind us. And then depending where our legs are, you can just start to stretch one leg out at a time. So if your legs are propped up on pillows, maybe the feet pop up a little bit from the ground. If you're up, legs up the wall pose, you can point and flex your feet a couple times. And I'm actually going to have those of you that happen to be there to slide your feet down the wall and open your knees out wide and Baddha Konasana for a moment, because that'll help regulate the blood pressure. And if our legs are a little bit more elevated, we are going to try to walk the feet in towards us. So whether that's on top of your pillows or the edge of your chair or piece of furniture, and then slide those arms back down beside the body. So depending where our back is, we can draw those knees in towards the body. We might be able to place our hands on our shin bones and do a little rock of that low back. Again, just be careful of where you are in space. And then we're going to make our way onto one side. So one arm will come beside the head. And again, we're working a little differently with different props and positions, but we basically want to roll our body off of our props or to one side so that we can, again, regulate our blood pressure and just transition from that gentle inversion. So our head is cradled on one arm and the opposite hand is to the floor in front of us. And then we'll press into the ground. You can turn your heart towards the ground and let's slowly bring our body up. So walk your hands in towards the body and we'll bring our bodies up. And then we're going to clear our space. So take a moment here to clear your space of your props. There's no hurry. Just make sure you're doing that mindfully. We are going to come right into a seated position this evening. So when we do come into a seat, especially if we're down on the ground, we're going to want to have some support underneath our sit bones. So I already had my blanket here. I just folded it up again so it's a little bit taller and thicker. And I'm going to try to use that tonight. I might need to add on to it. Pillows, if that's all you got, that's okay. It's not ideal because they're soft and we tend to sink into one hip or the other. So something that's a little firmer would be better. If you happen to have bolsters or thicker cushions, you can use those. So once we get situated, we hopefully just help decompress the lower half of our body. We'll prop ourselves up on our sit bones here and bring our legs into any comfortable position. Sukhasana is just our easy cross pose, but you're welcome to adjust the feet accordingly. Find those sit bones and equally weight the sit bones onto our prop. Now do draw in through the low belly slightly. Most importantly, we want our spine to be in a neutral position and able to sit up nice and tall. If you find that your back is rounding, your knees are pulled up quite a bit, elevate yourself even more. And that may mean that we need to take additional support underneath those knees. Now we'll float our arms out beside the body, turning those palms up to the ceiling. Let's come back to our breath, and on the inhale, simply reach your arms out wide and all the way up to the ceiling. Turn the palms back out and exhale, float the fingertips back down to the ground. We'll repeat this movement, but we're going to add a little bit of movement for our neck. On the inhale, as those arms reach up, take your drishti upwards. The chin may float up. Keep the back of the neck long, though. We're not just dropping the weight of the head backwards. We're extending. Exhale, fingertips down. Without rounding the back, draw your chin down towards the chest. Feel as if you're trying to lift your chest to the chin. Inhale, arms and gazing upwards. Exhale, fingertips down, chin to chest, stretching out the root of the neck. Let's do that one more time. Follow the breath. We're going to meet on our next exhale here. So we'll float the fingertips back down and the chin down. Now at this point, you may completely shrug your shoulders away from your ears and allow your arms to be wet noodles hanging beside the body. But we keep our posture. So it doesn't mean I slouch into my back. I'm just letting the shoulders go from the ears. On the inhale, roll the right ear to the right shoulder, gazing forward, giving the sidebar neck a nice big stretch. Exhale, chin down. Inhale, left ear to left shoulder, gazing forward. Exhale down. Let's do that one more time to each side. Shoulders are heavy. We'll take it over to the left side one more time. And then we'll meet on the exhale with the chin down to the chest. Flip those palms up. Inhale, arms up, head up. Reach nice and tall here. Bring the palms to touch and exhale our hands to our heart. Now, if we're cross-legged, I'm going to ask that you switch the cross of your legs, unless, of course, you're healing a foot or an ankle and something like that. That's not possible. Don't force it. If it is an option, switching the cross of the legs up. So tonight, let's interweave all 10 fingers. We're going to do a little bit more movement for those neck and shoulders. Flipping our palms forward. On the inhale, once again, float your arms up to the ceiling. Try to bring the head of the arm bones alongside of the ears. Now on this exhale, we will round our spine purposefully. So I'm going to draw my chin to the chest. I'm going to pull my belly in, and I'm going to round over an invisible beach ball, splaying my shoulder blades, stretching the upper back. Inhale, tilt the pelvic bowl slightly forward. Reach those arms up. The spine grows tall. You can float the chin slightly. Exhale, big stretching round for that upper back, purposely pulling the belly in. You can rock to the back of the sit bones. One more, seated cat-cows, extension and flexion for the back. Use that exhale, stretching out the back of the heart, the mid-back. We'll meet on our inhalation, arms reaching up to the ceiling. Now open the hands up, keep the spine tall. Exhale, rotate and twist the body to the right. Let those fingertips fall down. Try to find the opposite knee. You may lightly graze the ground behind you. Continue to rotate up the spine into the neck. Open the eyes nice and wide. Inhale, bring everything back to center, reaching up. Exhale, rotate and twist to the left. You can try to find that opposite knee. Fingertips might graze the ground behind us. Continue to twist up to the neck. Eyes are nice and wide. Look behind the body. Inhale, reach up. We'll do that one more time to each side. When you rotate, we're rotating around the axis of the spine, so the spine stays long. Stretch out those eyes from a hard day's work. Inhale up. One more time to our left, keeping the shoulders and chin parallel to the floor. Let's meet back on our inhale, reaching up. We're going to do one more pose tonight. So in this exhale, turn your palms down, fingertips to the floor. Upavishta Trikonasana, our seated triangle. I should say one more seated pose. Inhale, right arm up before we transition. Exhale, slide along the invisible wall to the left. Keep the low belly in, keep your right sit bone grounded. We should feel the stretch in the waist and the rib cage. Inhale, use your muscles to pull yourself up through center. Switch arms. Exhale, slide along the invisible wall. Push the left sit bone down. Inhale, reach up. Exhale. Now you can turn your gaze downwards to stretch a little bit more of the back of the neck. You can gaze forward or upwards. And then one more time, follow the breath up and over to the right. Good. We'll meet on our inhale again, reaching those fingertips up to the ceiling. bringing our palms to touch and exhaling to our center. So we've already done the 3 major movements for our spine we should do every day. We did our flexion and extension, rotation, and lateral extension. So hopefully we already feel a little looser in our upper body. We'll transition to tabletop. You may crawl over your legs or simply give your legs a stretch, give them a little wiggle, and then we'll flip ourselves around on our mats tonight. So tabletop, also known as all fours or Tarasana pose. We're going to turn our body into a tabletop here by stacking our joints. Spread the fingers wide, placing the hands as wide as our shoulders. Now, even though our joints are stacked here, I want us to avoid just jamming into our elbows and locking them out. So I want us to push into the earth and use a little bit of our muscular strength here to hold those arms in place. We want to align those knees right underneath the hips, and we have a little bit of space between our knees and our feet. So our front arms are the front legs of the table, thigh bones, back legs of the table. Our back is the tabletop. Toes tucked or pointed. We're going to come back to some extension and flexion. Inhale, relax the belly. Stretch the spine nice and long from the tailbone to the crown of the head, gaze forward. Exhale, pull that belly in, scoop the tailbone under, draw the chin to the chest, drishti to the belly button. So these are cow pose into a gentle back bend on our inhale. And some more flexion and rounding into cat stretch on our exhale. Feel free to add little lateral movements here by drawing one shoulder forward at a time, little movement in the neck. More tension in the neck and shoulder area. Maybe concentrate on poofing up the back of the heart, sinking the heart. We got more tension in our low back and hips. Maybe pay a little bit more attention to your pelvic tilts here. This pose is really about getting the kinks out, getting the blood flowing up and down the length of the spine, and helping to release all those muscles across the back. Good, yeah, hang out in one of those if it feels really good. We can usually tell pretty quickly what our body's asking for. We'll balance ourselves out. We'll meet back in a neutral position, and we'll come into child's pose. Wide knee child's pose, always a great option, but if you have a variation that works for you, please go right into it. Flattening out the tops of the feet, toes touch, knees open wider than the hips. My knee people that can't put a lot of compression on those knees, feel free to slide your pillows behind you, elevate the hips a little bit so there's not as much compression. Excuse me. If we have the ability to sit those hip bones to our heels, so I'm going to take a sip of water here to sec. Continue to sink down. The other thing is we might have the ability to continue to extend our fingertips forward to the front corners of our mat. Go ahead and do so and let the heart melt even deeper to get more of a stretch through the shoulders. However, our forehead must be grounded in this pose. So if the forehead is not easily touching, at least after the first breath or so, slide your hands under your forehead, use your towel or some sort of prop to give the head something to be grounded onto. So this pose does help stretch out across the whole lower back, around the lumbar area of the back, around those hip creases. If we sink that heart a little further towards the ground, it can also be a really great stretch along the side bodies and that shoulder girdle. Child's pose helps us decompress from our day, prepares to take us into our evening. It's beneficial for those of us that experience insomnia, anxiety, racing mind, all of those type of things. Just let that mind and head ground towards the earth. One more breath. And then next inhale, let's float the head and the body back up. We'll reconvene in tabletop pose, so stack those joints, and let's give our knees some benefit of that purposeful compression. Level out the hips and just stretch your right foot back behind you. The ball of the foot's going to be to the floor. Shifting the weight back to that heel will intensify the stretch. Feel the eye of the knee opening. Take a nice deep breath in. Exhale, bring the right knee down. Keep those hips level. Give that left foot a stretch back there. Ball the foot to the floor. Shift that weight back. Open up the back of the leg. Equal weight in those hands. Deep breath in. And exhale, left knee comes down. So we're going to go into another partial inversion, Adho Mukha Svanasana, or downward facing dog. From our tabletop, walk those hands about 1 hand's distance forward. They're still nice and wide as the shoulders. Tucking the toes under, draw the belly in. Press into the earth, floating the hips up, back, shifting that weight once again down the backs of the legs. If we come here this evening, maybe it's been a while since we've been in this position, or for whatever reason we need to take a break, we come right back down onto our knees. We can cat-cow and tabletop or do our leg stretching from here. You're always welcome to drop it back down to a child's pose. Down dog, people. Draw that belly in, shifting the belly towards the thighs. Roll those upper arm bones away from the ears, pulling the shoulders down the back. The neck is long. Roll into the mounted index fingers and thumbs. Let's inhale, lifting our heels high up off the ground, getting into the creases of our toes. Exhale, sink just the right heel down, bend the left knee, giving that right side a nice big stretch again. Inhale, heels up. Exhale, left heel down, bending into the right knee. Inhale, heels up. Exhale, drop the heels towards the ground here. Bend into the knees a little bit more deeply if our spine needs a little bit more of a release. And we'll take one more breath in our downward facing dog. Again, allowing the head to drop towards the earth. Next inhale, gazes forward. We'll baby step our hands to feet, feet to hands, whatever works for you. We will continue to stay in a partial inversion in Uttanasana. However, some of us modify for backs and other reasons. We may bend our knees, placing the weight of our elbows, our hands on our thighs. You're even welcome to come into an upright position if that's better for your body tonight. If we're holding on to our forward fold, feet should be parallel, toes forward, knees to toes. Nice strong legs pulling in and up through those lower bandhas. So the pelvic floor and lower abdominal wall pulling in. If you'd like to take a hold of opposite elbows, you may even sway your body side to side and ragdoll the upper half of the body towards the ground. Good. Just let the weight of the world melt off those shoulders this evening. And this evening, we're all going to take our time to come up. We'll do articulation of the spine. So we'll bend our knees, placing our hands on our thighs with the fingertips turned inward. Tuck the chin into the chest, pressing the feet into the floor. Use your strong legs and core. Inhale, roll up the spine. One vertebra at a time. Make sure you're inhaling. We've been upside down for a while, so we're going to inhale. Your head should be the very last thing to come up. When it does, pull your shoulders up purposefully to your ears, and then exhale, let the shoulders fall back down away from the ears, and just softly float your arms out away from the body tonight. If you start seeing stars, get lightheaded, we sit down to the ground. So we should find ourselves in Tadasana. Feet parallel, about 2 fists distance between those feet. Toes forward, knees to toes. We want to make sure that we're unjamming our knees. So we want to bring those shin bones slightly forward. Feel a lift up through the quadriceps, pulling that front body to our back body, lengthening the upper buttock towards the ground. This evening, let's pick up our toes while we're here, spread them nice and wide. Let's also turn our palms to face forward and spread the fingertips wide. And just that little bit of rotation, we should feel translate to the upper arm bones, continuing to give us a subtle opening through the chest and the heart. No tension in the head of the neck. You can give it a little turn side to side, or a little ear drop side to side, making sure we're not holding on to tension around the neck. Toes are still up, great. You can soften them towards the ground. Come back to the breath. Inhale, reach those arms out wide, all the way up to the ceiling. Big stretch. Bring those palms to touch. Exhale, hands to heart. So you come to my class, you know we do this pose every single class. A little bit of balancing. Focus your drishti on one spot. Inhale, draw a big circle. Fingertips down, out, and up. But this time the heels are coming up as well, rising up on our tippy toes. On the exhale, we slowly, as slow as we can go, lower the heels and the hands to the heart. It's often easier to lift up than it is to come down. Keep going with the breath. Inhale, reach, touch the ceiling. Exhale. See how slow you can go. If you are healing those feet tonight, this could be a nice exercise to bring strength back into that lower half of the body. Again, just move kindly. You're always welcome to use a wall or the back of a chair. If you are using some type of support, just make sure it's stable. One more round, palm tree pose. See how tall you can get. Big breath in. And exhale. We'll meet back down on the ground. So we'll just do one big standing pose tonight. We've been doing Prasarita Pada Tadasana for this month as one of our main poses. So we'll need to rearrange ourselves a little bit here. What we'll end up in is we'll want to turn to the long edge of our yoga mats. We'll end up in our nice big wide stance. Okay, so that's what we'll eventually get there. However, we might want to bring some stepping stones into this pose. If you happen to have books or yoga blocks nearby, bend your knees, use your core to move your stuff. We'll take our props and bring it about shoulder width apart near that long edge of our mat. I also use the seat of my chair. This is more for when I come up out of this pose. I need extra assistance so that my low back doesn't get strained. So I would place my chair out in front of me as well. Whatever you have, you might not even get to the point where you come that far down. You might be more upright, which is okay. I'll move this out of the way in the beginning. So we come to the center of our mat, feet and legs touching, fingertips float to heart. And on the inhale, we're going to take a nice big step out, 1 foot at a time. Once we're here, we might need to wiggle those feet out. Again, we want them to be fairly wide, but we also want to maintain the integrity of our legs, and knees should still be going the direction of our toes. And we want our feet to start out parallel, so the toes are still pointing forward. When we extend our arms out, don't use the muscles around the top of the shoulders and the neck. Drop them down. Instead, feel like you're pressing into invisible ledges through the palms. And you want to utilize our triceps and the lats here. Take a big breath in. Exhale. Place the hands right on the hips. This is where all the movement comes. There's no rounding down into this pose. It's all a hinge at the hip movement. Turn those toes slightly inward to internally rotate the thigh bones. Stay connected to the core. So we're still drawing into those lower abdominals, but we can inhale, elbows back to open the heart a little bit more. On the exhale, tip from the hips. So the front of the spine should stay as long as the back of the spine. And come down just a few degrees. Keep the head in line with the spine. Take a breath in. Exhale. Give those muscles an opportunity to stretch and lengthen. So every inhale, we want to create some space. Exhale, maybe we have an opportunity to move into that space. Couple things, make sure the four corners of your feet are still equally grounded and we're not collapsing to the inside or outside of our feet. If you lose that, pick up your toes. Make sure you're still pulling up through the quadriceps because we are trying to stretch the backs of the inner thighs of the legs. If our fingertips have made it to our props or towards the floor, try to just use your fingertips so we're not shifting all of our weight into our hands. If you start to go into more of an inversion here over time, that means your head is now below your heart. Continue to pull your shoulders away from your ears. So we want to keep our shoulder girdle engaged, but we may release the weight of the head. So we're trying to traction out those muscles around the neck again. If you're at that point, you may walk your fingertips between your feet, bending your elbows back. You can look back between your legs. Support the shoulder girdle, the head may release. Maintain the breath, we're gonna be here just a little bit longer. This evening, I want you to try to shift your weight a little bit more into your left foot, just to see how that changes the stretch. Shift your weight over into your right foot, press it a little bit more towards the ground, see if anything changes. And then come back to where you feel like you're pressing both feet equally into the floor, strong quads, drawing that belly in. We're going to take one more breath. Next inhale, we come into our halfway lift, especially those of us that have gone further into the pose. You'll walk your fingertips back underneath the shoulders, rising back up on your props as needed. Feet are engaged into the earth, legs are strong. Pull the belly in. Exhale, one hand at a time, back to those hips. And then inhale, rise up to the crown of the head. Make sure you're inhaling. Once you're upright, try to inhale even more air here, reaching out and up. Continue to fill up. Big stretch. Bring the palms together. Exhale to our center. At this point, we'll just heel toe, step those feet back in, and we're gonna go right into our balance work tonight. If you feel like you need to clear some of your space, if you have safe space to balance, go ahead and do so. So I actually want us to open our feet a little wider than our hips. We're gonna do a little floating action, and again, try to keep ourselves relatively soft and fluid this evening. From here, shift the weight over into the right leg. And as we're moving to the right, I'm now really pressing my right foot, growing my roots, that leg into the earth. And as I do so, I may have noticed that this side got a little lighter. Again, if you're taking care of your feet and it doesn't feel quite right to put all your weight onto one foot or not, I would really just keep both feet grounded and maybe just do some weight shifting here or a little lift. So you're gonna have to just work with what's best for you tonight. Those of us that are prepared to bear all of our weight onto this right leg to start, float those arms down and try to get into your soft little hover here. So I'm kind of buoyant. I wanna get a sense of like floating a little bit. We can stay pretty soft here or add a little bit of strengthening, spreading fingers and toes. Using the muscles now to reach and extend the body out into Tarasana or star pose. So shining again out from the inside through our fingertips and toes. Take a big breath in. On our exhale, we're going to land as softly and gracefully as possible. Pause in Tadasana, let the arms float beside the body. Try to equalize the weight into both feet. Take an inhale, reach those arms out and up. Exhale, hands to heart. Drishti is focused on one spot, weight shifts into that left leg. Push your left foot through the floor, grow your roots 6 feet into the ground below you. You should feel your waistline get a little stronger. This side should get pretty light. Hover those arms, see how much we can float tonight. Maybe a little buoyancy. Then a little bit more dimension to the pose. Those of us that want it, spread the fingers and toes. Start engaging a little bit more of those muscles, hug them to the bone, reaching in 4 directions, bright shining star. If we're a falling star, just bring yourself back up. Big breath in. And on the exhale, again, we're just going to try to land as softly and gracefully as possible, keeping our focus and going right back into Tadasana. The drishti should be on the exact same spot. Turn the palms out. Inhale, reach out and up. Drishti to thumbs for a very gentle back bend. And then exhale, hands back to heart. So we'll make another transition now. We'll all meet back at the top of our mats in Tadasana. So if we need to reorganize, do so. Feet are hips width apart, arms are floating beside the body. Turn the palms forward tonight to open the heart a little bit more. Head is just floating on top of those shoulders. Back to the breath. Inhale, extended mountain, reaching the fingertips upwards. Drishti to thumbs, gentle back bend. On the exhale, micro bend those knees, hinging from the hips. We swan dive the arms back, around, and down into your forward fold. So that might be stopping halfway. Maybe a deeper bend in the knees. Otherwise, we can continue to melt the upper half of the body down. Prancing the legs, straightening one leg at a time, can also continue to help stretch up the backs of those legs. Maybe giving that head a little happy shake. Yes, I'm so happy I made the effort to be here tonight. And a little shake, no. Letting go of anything that doesn't serve us or our practice tonight. Inhale, hands to shins or higher. Float the heart, halfway lift. And then exhale, let's bend the knees, plant the hands, and take a big step back to downward facing dog. Feet should be parallel to each other, heels sinking towards the ground. Equal weight in those hands. You're always welcome to come down into tabletop or child's pose. Now on the next inhale, we're going to move forward into plank. Shoulders over wrists. You may drop down onto your knees and be in kneeling plank. We're coming all the way onto our belly. So if you need to shift around in your space to do so, go for it. Slowly lower all the way down. Relax the feet, heels can flop open. Take your hands, stacking them one at a time, and place your forehead or your ear on your hands, turning the head to one side. Just take a breath here, relax the belly, give your hips a little wiggle side to side, letting go of tension in our back. So we'll do one big shoulder stretch here. This is called tying the knot pose. And I'll walk us through it. It's a really big stretch for the outer part of our shoulders and deltoids, which is sometimes a challenging area you gotta get to. We will all move carefully with our body when we get into this pose. I'm gonna move myself around so you can see me as needed. And sometimes if you're in a pose and you need the visual, instead of like craning your head sideways or awkwardly, just come up and look at the screen in a safe position. I sometimes catch myself doing that. I'm like, I should not be turning my neck right now to try and look anywhere else but where my neck should be. Okay, so we're in a relaxed position. The back half of the body is going to be nice and relaxed. So on the inhale, bring your hands underneath your shoulders. We're going to use a little bit of strength in our back to float our heart up. Bhujangasana, Cobra Pose. Slide those elbows straight forward. Knife the pinky edge of the hands into the ground. Elbows are stacked right underneath the shoulders. Lift and lengthen the spine up. Sphinx Pose. So this is just our starting position. My glutes are relaxed. My heels are still flopped open. I'm using my arms to stretch and lengthen my spine. From here, Step your left palm forward out in front of you. This is going to be your strong arm for a moment. Take your right fingertips, palm down, and walk them in. Now this arm, we are going to take it over to the left, right underneath our chest. This is not thread the needle pose. I'm not twisting and turning. I want to keep my shoulders square to the front of your mat. That's the trick. So turn your right palm in, inch your right fingertips over a little bit. They're not going to go very far at first. Now you're going to start to lower down, and you take your left arm and you walk it over to the right. That's the knot part. Now I can continue to inch my right fingertips over to the left, and my left fingertips over to the right. My head is beyond my arms at this point. I'm immediately starting to feel the stretch in the outer shoulder. Don't overdo it. Shoulders are square. I'm letting my body weight now sink down on top of the arms. At this point, you may drop your head down. The chin will maybe find somewhere to rest on that top arm. So again, gravity is our friend. It's helping us to let go and traction out the area of the body. Some of your shoulders might be saying, I really like this and I want a little bit more. If that's the case, tuck your toes under behind you and then press into your feet to shift your body weight forward. So now you're moving the body slightly forward, even more over those arms. Let's all take one more breath. Back off the feet. If you've shifted your weight forward, relax the feet. Very carefully float the head up. You're going to have to untie your knot. So you're going to inch your left hand and arm back forward. You got to use this hand again because I got to press it into the ground just enough to slide the right arm out. Then I'm going to extend both arms forward into crocodile pose. The palms come together. I drop my forehead to the ground, and I may swim the snout of my crocodile slightly side to side to stretch out the lats. And also just to give our shoulders a break before we do the other side. Slide the hands underneath the shoulders, elbows in. Use the strength of your back to inhale, lift the heart through Bhujangasana. Immediately slide your elbows under the shoulders into Sphinx Pose. Press the arms into the ground to lengthen the spine forward and up, also decompressing the spine. So other side, plant your right palm slightly forward. We're creating space, support. Left fingertips palm down, walk under the chest. Without twisting, just start to slide that left arm over to the right, right under the chest. Start to bring your weight down, and then take that right arm across the left. Shoulders are facing forward and square. Now I may continue to try to inch my hands, tightening my knot out to the sides of the room. And then as I exhale, I'm going to let my body weight sink down. The head can sink down. The chin might find a place to rest on that front arm. Use your exhales, letting go of tension. Shoulders like this, they want a little bit more. Tuck your toes under behind you. Pressing yourself slightly forward, just shifting your weight a little bit more forward over those arms. One more breath. Sometimes we don't realize how much tension we're holding on to until we really start kneading into it from the inside out. To release, bring your feet back into a relaxed position so there's no more pressure coming forward. Inhale, start to float the head up. Walk your right fingertips and arm forward. Press into that palm so you can lift yourself up to bring your bottom arm out. Makarasana, crocodile, palms touch. Swim your snout forward, drop the forehead to the ground. Get a nice big stretch for your lats. And then hands underneath the shoulders. Squeeze your elbows in, tuck your toes under. Draw your belly into the body, scoop your tailbone, using the strength of those arms. We just did a big stretch for these muscles. Now I want you to squeeze your muscles to the bone and use those muscles to push the body slowly back up. Bring your knees back underneath your hips, tabletop. Start off with little baby cat cows here. Now we can try to keep our knees and feet together, coming into another child's pose, sinking the hips to the heels. Hands this time may slip or sweep all the way back to our feet, and the head falls back down to the floor, allowing the weight of the arms just to drop and hang heavy. Hands under the shoulders, tuck the chin. Inhale, go ahead and round up one vertebra at a time. You can always transition through tabletop. Shift the weight over to either hip, and we're going to bring our feet back forward. So those of you that haven't been to my classes lately, after we do our final relaxation, we've been coming up to do some pranayama, mantra, little seated meditation work. I want to switch it up a little bit tonight. I'm going to keep us seated comfortably. We'll do our pranayama work, do a little bit of mantra, and then we can either choose to stay in a seated meditation or then at that point lay down in Shavasana to absorb our practice. So we do need to be in a comfortable position with the spine nice and long and tall. Grab your firmly folded blankets, your cushions. You're always welcome to sit up into an edge of a chair. We've been practicing Nadi Shodhanam, or energy channel cleansing, alternate nostril breathing. You may want to have tissues nearby too, because this pranayama is wonderful to help clean the sinuses and open up the airways. Those of you that have allergies, this would be a wonderful thing to practice every day. All of us, we should practice alternate nostril breathing every day, in my humble opinion. And our seated position, you can be in Sukhasana again, Siddhasana. If Padmasana or Ardha Padmasana is in your practice and it does not disturb the joints of the legs, you may always take those. You can take additional support for the knees. So I will guide us for the first couple rounds of our alternate nostril breathing, and then we'll give ourselves a moment to continue at our own rhythm and pace. So we want to find our sit bones. Most important is that we're able to sit up nice and tall, adjust the clothing, get the body comfortable. From our seated position, we take chin mudra in the hands, bringing index finger to thumb, extending the other three fingers, our seal of wisdom or knowledge. Place the hands on the knees, palms up. In your right hand, I will not be mirroring this, I get a little too confused. In your right hand, we make Nasagra mudra. So we start by making the peace symbol, glue the middle and index fingers together. Open the ring, pinky, and thumb. These fingers are our pinchers. Turn the right palm to the face and press the middle and index finger right to the eyebrow center. Gently rest the thumb on the outside of the right nostril and the ring and pinky on the outside of the left nostril. Sit up tall, and to begin, inhale through both nostrils. Exhale back out through both nostrils. Now close the right nostril with the thumb and inhale just through the left. Close the left, open the right, and exhale. Inhale back through the right side. Close the right, open the left, and exhale. That's one round. Inhale left. Close left, open right, exhale. Inhale back through the right. Close right, open left, exhale. That's 2 rounds. Inhale left. Close left, open right, exhale. Inhale back through the right. Close right, open left, exhale. That's 3 rounds. Continue with your body and breath. If the head or the right arm begin to get heavy, place the left hand under the right elbow to support the arm and to keep the posture long and tall up to the crown of the head. If one side is a little bit more challenging to breathe through than the other, that's normal. Just do your best to breathe through it as evenly as possible. Go ahead and finish whatever round you happen to be on. That round should finish with an exhale out the left nostril. Whenever you make that last exhale out the left nostril, exhale completely. Bringing the hands back onto the knees in Chin Mudra. Sit up a little taller through the spine and the crown of the head. Let go of controlling the breath and let it wander away wherever it wants to go. And then keep the mind's eye focused on that third eye center, Agnya Chakra, our place of intuition and wisdom. Relax the face completely. Feel the weight of the shoulders and elbows falling away from the ears. Notice the gentle weight of the hands on the knees. Notice the contact points with the legs and each other and with the floor and the props below. Allow the lower half of the body to sink towards the earth, And allow the upper half of the body, vertebra by vertebra, to extend and to lengthen skyward through the crown of the head. At this point, you may continue to sit here mindfully, concentrating the mind. If anyone feels like they would like to lay down for a moment in Shavasana, you may do so. Just moving the body there mindfully, quietly, giving the body any additional support it might want. If we're continuing to stay in a seated position, just be very mindful of the posture. And if the mind wanders, you may mentally repeat a mantra over and over again. You may bring the mind's eye back to that third eye center. Or simply focus the mind on the gentle breath around the tip of the nose and the nostrils. Those of us that took the opportunity to lay down on the ground in a Shavasana, you are always welcome to stay there. You can stay there for another 15, 20, 30 minutes, as long as you need this evening. If you would like to slowly start to wake the body up and join us in a seated position, just remember to pause in Supta Balasana, sleeping baby, on one side for a moment, to give the body an opportunity to transition. If we're still in our seated posture, again, just be very mindful of the spine, continuing to sit up a little taller to the crown of the head. And if you'd like to join me with our finishing mantras this evening, please do so. We'll be finishing with the Om Purnamada mantra, which means that is fullness, this is fullness. From that fullness, this fullness came. From that fullness, this fullness removed. What remains is fullness. And taking a deep breath in to begin. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om Tat Sat. And then being mindful of our surroundings, let's finish our practice with just a couple more breaths together. Re-extend those arms out beside the body, palms up. Taking another big breath in through the nose, let's reach those arms all the way back up to the ceiling. And let's gather up everything we need for the rest of our evening. Turn the palms back out. Big exhale out. Float the fingertips all the way back down to the ground and let go of all that other junk we don't need this evening. And one more time, inhale, arms up. Bring the palms to touch. Exhale the hands to the heart. Humbly bow the head down to the heart to honor and thank ourselves, our bodies, each other, and remembering to be grateful to anyone else that made it possible for us to practice our yoga together today. And I thank each and every one of you so much for showing up for yourself, for everyone in our lives, for your continued support of our community in Austin Yoga Tree and support of each other. Please give feedback and share any questions you might have or any comments. If you were sitting for a while, give your legs a moment to stretch and get some blood flow back into them. I will be back Sunday morning, starting our May series. I mentioned last class, we're going to get back into a little bit more of our strong powerhouse, Manipura chakra, our core, bringing more stability in our lives, not only physically, but emotionally and mentally. I think we could all tap into some of that inner power, help us carry us through. More transitioning coming our way. So